Hello everyone, my name is Hans. Fooled you, it's actually not Hans. Winter is coming and you know what that means. Hot cocoa, candy canes, pine trees, blood-sucking consumerism, it's all got me so inspired. So let's design a pyramid. This particular design is inspired by the fragrance I chose. I'll give you a little time to guess what it is and reveal it later in the video. I went with a mountain forest sort of theme this time, which is often my first choice when it comes to designing anything creative because I grew up near the mountains. I'm gonna go with a dark, broody, grayish blue bottom layer and an icy blue belly. The top is inspired by the winter sky when it's like 1 p.m. but the sun is already setting and it's -40 out and you've forgotten what warmth is. Almost like a pastel-y blend of yellows and pinks and purples, that sort of thing. And I'm gonna try something new here. I need to find a way to make those pastels without blending the colors altogether. So the very first thing I'm going to do is make a little blend of Super Sparkle Mica and Poseidon Blue Mica from Voyager Soap and Candle, which are the #1 soap and candle retailer in Vancouver if you happen to live in the area. I am so sorry for your wallet. The idea here is to make just the tippy tops of the pyramid sparkly, almost to resemble a snowy peak, but every time I put the frickin' paintbrush nearby, stupid static made the sparkles go everywhere, so I sort of abandoned that idea really quickly. Not off to a great start, but just wait, it gets worse. So here's where I'm going to test out my new dyeing technique, and no, I'm not talking about biting the dust, although that's kind of what I felt like doing. My brilliant idea was to apply this candle dye to the sides of the mold using a toothpick, hoping that once I poured the wax it would just disperse the dye all beautifully the way I wanted, and that is definitely not what ends up happening. Time to portion my wax. I'm going to start with that white pastel layer, and I'm just using soy wax flakes from Michaels. Let's turn them into melted soy wax flakes from Michaels. I put the wax in the microwave for a bit too long. It's now skin scaldingly hot, so we're going to have to wait a bit before we add the fragrance. You don't want to add the fragrance when the wax is too warm, otherwise it might evaporate off and your wax melts will stink that much less. Here's the fragrance I'm using for the pyramids, Yule and Pine from Voyager. This fragrance smells very similar to the one that I used in my first Frost soap video. If you haven't seen that one, please do. If you're a soap maker and you're making winter soaps, I have a great recommendation for something you should use for your winter collection. You don't want to miss it. So this fragrance is woodsy and piney and a little less earthy than the one I used for the first Frost, but still a very bold forest scent that literally anybody with a nose would love. So this is the part of the video where I wanted to stop, but decided to push through because I already committed 20 minutes to my progress. Yeah, the dye didn't dissolve beautifully into the wax like I expected. It just sort of sat there on the sides. I tried provoking it a little bit with a skewer to get some of the color to move around a bit, but that was just an exercise in futility. Whatever, next. This one is the icy blue layer, so there's not really much anything that can go wrong with that. I'm going to throw in some Poseidon blue, which is my favorite blue to use when I want a really nice icy blue color. And I'm going to use my twisty twirly to disperse it gently and not splatter wax all over my table. Now, my favorite part of stirring the fragrance in is seeing all the mica swirl around in the wax. I'm not sure why, but it brings my eyeballs joy. Pouring the second layer was a lot more ego stroking because literally 0 could go wrong. You'll notice, however, that there are 7 white wax deposits rather than 6, and that's because I was a dingus, and during my panic of the previous round, I poured an extra pure melt, which means all my other pure melts have a little less wax in them. It bugs the hell out of me, but there's no crying over spilt wax. I decided last minute to add some Arctic Sparkle glitter from the Good Glitter, kinda to resemble, I don't know, snowflakes? Last layer, you know the drill. Portion wax, melt it in the microwave, ta-da, it's all melted. I'm basically repeating what I did for the last layer, except I'm adding some black onyx mica to bring in some contrast. Also, I think onyx is how you say it. It might be onyx, I'm not really sure. somehow, even though I was using a scale, I didn't have enough wax for the last pure melt, and like, where'd it go? That's not supposed to happen.
They tricked me and I don't care anymore.
Now it's time for my little pure melts to sleep and solidify. Yeah, so that cool color technique I thought I was innovating, it kind of made these pure melts look like they just came out of someone's bloody nose, and unfortunately that doesn't really read holiday very much, so I remade them. All I did was darken up that bottom layer some more with some black onyx, removed the glitter, and I made the top just pure white so it would be a blank canvas to apply my new and improved color technique, brushing mica onto the wax melts directly. Now, those orange spots are just residual dye left from my previous experiment and were definitely not intentional, although they were a lot closer to the original effect I was going for. I've also decided to dip the tips into some melted super sparkle wax, and I did a few coats so I'd get a truer representation of a snowy mountain peak. And here are those product shots. I really like the way these new and improved non-fails look. That little bit of blush turned out really well, and I'm really happy with those sparkly peaks. Let's see how they melt. Look at that gorgeous blue color. It's so moody and stormy looking and it smells absolutely incredible. But look at it once it re-solidifies. It develops this really nice icy blue frosty color. I named this group of pure melts Winter Woods because that's exactly where I want you to be transported when you smell these. That was a pure melt journey. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.